Hello, dear listeners and biohackers, and welcome to another episode of the flowgrade-show. Today's episode is about raising testosterone naturally, and my guest is an expert in the field. He's a personal trainer, a speaker, and the author of 2 health books, his latest being The Guide for Naturally Boosting Testosterone. His name is Pessi Peura. He's from Finland, like some other guests on this podcast have been, and he knows a lot about the subject. So, among other things, we talk about the importance of testosterone, the factors why people are deficient, and ways how you can naturally boost testosterone. If you're interested in this topic and want to find out more, then check out flowgrade.com for more, and especially the episode with Ben Greenfield, where he shares the optimal diet for bodybuilders and also ways how to boost testosterone naturally. But for now, check out this episode and find out more about testosterone with Pessi Peura. Pessi, great to have you on the show.
Thank you, Maximilian.
No, it's great. And we're talking about one of my favorite subjects, which is testosterone. And I'm very happy that Teemu introduced us. And by the way, Teemu Arina, he was also on the show, and he says hello. I just talked to him shortly before the episode.
Yeah, Teemu is a great guy.
Yeah, he's in our scene, in the biohack, in the field of biohacking, he's really one of the leading guys here in Europe. He pushes forward and organizes things, and it's really great having him.
Yeah, he's done a lot for the Finnish biohacking scene.
Yeah, you guys are anyways crazy for such a small country. There's so many companies and so many entrepreneurial people that I know now, which, a country the size of Berlin, maybe a little bigger, but it's quite impressive. Okay, let's jump in. And our topic today is testosterone. And maybe my first question is, why do you know so much about testosterone?
Well, I was one of the goofy guys back in 2009 who started promoting superfoods and biohacking stuff in Finland. And I also started studying, for my own interest, testosterone and all the herbs and supplements that could enhance testosterone levels. So I've been studying the subject ever since. And last year I decided to make a book about it. I published an ebook in December last year. So I work as a personal trainer and coach, and I write a lot about health and basically testosterone is one important piece of the puzzle with guys.
So, okay, so you published the book, first of all. It's already out, but it's only in Finnish for now.
Yeah.
And I hope there are plans to have it translated to English or even German at some point. But it's a book entirely about testosterone, right?
Well, yeah, it's focused only on that subject, and it's only for guys. It doesn't. It's for male perspective only.
So, okay, I can already hear the female listeners all switching off. No, but or maybe they might want to find out in relation to their
anyway, like the book is pretty much general health information, very much, because improving tests is improving your health. They are the same thing, pretty much.
Exactly. But so why is it testosterone? What is it about testosterone that's still so interesting? And what can you explain what the fascination with testosterone is?
Well, the fascination has been increasing because there has been more and more problems. On the big, wide level, testosterone levels have been going down for the last 30 years. And the reasons can't be explained, why is it so? But there are some things that explain it, like we are getting fatter, obesity, we are stressed, lack of sleep, and then there are the toxic chemicals. That's the most uh, unknown subject or cause of the problems.
But there's so many different hormones. So why is testosterone always singled out? Is it just the best indicator for fertility and virility and masculinity?
Well, yeah, it's the one that makes guys happy. If guys don't have good test levels, so everything else will go down. Like, for example, body composition. It's very hard to stay in shape if your tests are low. So it affects many things. And actually, I've listed like the causes of testosterone deficiency. It's like lack of energy, lack of sexual functions, obesity, lack of strength. And basically, if you have low tests, it's very hard to build muscle and difficult to lose weight and all that kind of stuff. So it's very important to have good testosterone levels.
All right. So you already now jumped into explaining the symptoms, the major symptoms of lower testosterone. Yeah. Now, why is it, according to you, and you've done a lot of research now, that testosterone has been decreasing over the last 30 years? What are the major factors? You already mentioned some, but maybe you can go
them quickly. Yeah, but the increasing obesity problem seems to be the main cause, because mostly when studied, like over obese people, guys have very often low testosterone levels, and when they get the excessive fat off, basically their tests start improving again. So that's very big, and when on the general we have become more obese, so that's one of the reasons that on the big scale tests have been going down. And the other one is stress and lack of sleep. Basically, I think they are very interrelated, because when your cortisol levels go up and you don't get rest, tests start going down, and there's a pretty clear correlation between these things. So basically, sleeping well and staying off obesity are the main things to avoid problems with testosterone.
All right. And so you already mentioned the symptoms of low testosterone, but maybe now looking from the other side, maybe you can also, even if you repeat yourself, jump into what will improve once you start fixing your testosterone. What areas in your life will start to get better quickly? Well,
it's very important for your sexual functions, but as well as it affects your self-confidence and your self-esteem, and it can decrease symptoms of depression and basically make you happier and more. Also more aggressive. I don't know, it's not always positive, but it makes you more aggressive, basically. And of course, it's easier to build muscle and get strong. And the studies are very interesting with athletes or normal people that have been injected testosterone. Bodybuilders, they do inject testosterone to get muscles, and the effects are pretty huge. Like, if you're injected testosterone in big quantities, even if you don't work out, your muscles and your strength are gonna increase a lot.
Okay. So, but would you recommend taking exogenous testosterone as a, let's say, not a professional bodybuilder, but maybe a normal guy who wants just to build up muscle? Would you recommend that, or is that dangerous?
It's, in most cases it shouldn't be dangerous, but of course it affects your natural testosterone production, because when you start injecting testosterone, it will shut down your own testosterone production, and so you'll become dependent on the injections. And if you stop it, it will take time to recover your testosterone production. Usually it recovers, but it can take some time. So I can't recommend it for anyone, but if you're a bodybuilder and you're making your living out of it, so that's a different question then.
So maybe we can talk a little bit about the production of testosterone. So testosterone is the primary anabolic hormone.
Yeah.
And it's also present in women, but much less, I guess. And in order to maybe optimize it, we could maybe you could explain quickly how testosterone is produced, what it actually is. Just quickly go into that pathway.
Well, it's mainly produced in testicles, but signals for producing it come from the brain. So basically, when you have problems with testosterone levels, the problems can be in testicles or with your brain's hormone functions. That's the basic scenario. And all the hormones are made out of cholesterol. So yeah, also testosterone is made out of cholesterol.
So what could be considered an optimal level of testosterone for an individual person?
Well, there are a couple of, I don't know which decreases are you using, but I'm heard more about nanomilmoles. I don't know. Are you familiar with that?
Yeah.
The optimal, yeah. Well, the deficiency is said to be somewhere between 12 and 15, and the optimal is between 20 to 30, maybe 35, and 37 is said to be the upper limit of normal testosterone levels. So for healthy males, it should be somewhere between 20 and 30.
All right, and it doesn't. But does it depend on the individual person? Is it for everyone the same, or is it a range? And like my testosterone could be a different optimal level than yours, for example.
Well, if that's a difficult question, like what's the optimal there? But like there are some benefits if you raise it from like 20 to 30, for example, in the normal range. It makes losing fat, for example, a little bit easier, and it improves your possibilities of maintaining a very good body composition. So that's one aspect. And on the individual differences, I don't know if it's, well, I think it's good to have it on the like normal range or on the upper limits of that. And well, basically I know cases where people have started taking testosterone injections with deficiencies, and when they go over the upper limit, they seem to be happier and doing well as well. So it doesn't make anything bad, I think, if it goes over it.
Okay, so I guess the one solution would be just to test it out a little bit for everyone for themselves, and see which level works for you.
Yeah, and definitely there. If you go to take the tests, then you should take a little bit. If you have deficiencies, usually they take also other hormonal levels that they can track that. What might be the cause? Is it from in the testicles, or is it with your brain functions? So,
by the way, may I ask, why didn't you in your book also talk about women? Because I know that testosterone is also important for women, and there's actually also a field of research that deals with deficiency of testosterone in women. Did you leave them out for a specific reason? Did you just want to focus on men, or what was the reason there?
Well, I started the easier way on focusing on the males, Yeah, but I haven't been really studying the woman's subject that much, and basically most of the studies are about males and male testosterone deficiency because it's so um, more widely like wider problem. So, but that it would be interesting to dig into that also. I
Right.
haven't read anything like decent about that subject yet.
What are some of the myths surrounding testosterone? I know there's a lot of stuff out there, and
Yeah.
many believes that it would, I don't know, create roid rage, make you really aggressive, and so you go berserk and beat up people around you. And then there are other myths. Can you maybe clarify that a little bit? What is true and what is not true?
Well, Ben Greenfield was in your podcast and commented wisely on this subject that, like with the supplements, many supplements improve libido, and then people think that their tests have improved. Well, actually, it's like many times libido and testosterone are different
Good
subjects
point.
that get mixed, and so I think that many testosterone supplements that have been getting some recognition are really just improving libido and overall well-being. And well, what else about the subject do you want to hear?
Yeah, for example, is it really? Tim Ferriss explains in The 4 Hour Body that he when he tripled his testosterone, that he entered a room and pretty much all the women turned their heads and all the guys felt scared. And I've tried around with testosterone a lot, and I've tested myself and done experiment, and I think some parts are true and others are a little too glorified, too
Yeah.
magnified.
Yeah, there are some interesting studies about that. That what kind of male do women want, and high testosterone, low cortisol combination seems to be pretty good for
Yeah.
attracting women.
In any animal kingdom, pretty much.
Yeah, because it's like, okay, you're self-confident, you're safe with yourself, and you can keep other people safe, and you don't need to stress about anything.
Is that changing in society, do you think? Is it becoming less important now? Or is that also maybe a reason why people have decreasing testosterone?
Well, that's a
That's a
quite big.
philosophical question. I know. I
Yeah.
just pick your brain now. That was not scripted or anything. That was just.
Yeah. Like, of course, we don't need to fight anymore, like, and we are not embraced to fight, and actually, like, in some cases, of course, male aggressiveness has been played down, and we have to be like very like equality with the sexes. I think it sometimes goes a little with weird way that man can't be that masculine anymore. So maybe there is something to do with testosterone.
Okay, yeah, that's an interesting subject.
Yeah,
Makes for a good dinner conversation.
yeah, and
Okay.
I've read, and actually we had some book recommendations uh, about the subject, like how to deal with women and like male and female dynamics. Like, for example, David Data and John Gray have written great books about it. So
Yeah,
there's something
actually,
that
funny
your
that you
listeners
say that
might. Yeah,
because I have John
yeah,
Gray. I talked to him at the biohacking conference,
yeah.
and I wanted to, because I have the book right here. This is not a coincidence, because I wanted to ask you about something. Tonkat Ali, or Ally, I'm not sure how you
Yeah.
pronounce it correctly, but in English.
And he's probably promoting it.
Yeah, he's promoting, he's selling it as well. Yeah. So he talks, I'll actually jump into that in a second, because now I want to jump with you into the more practical area, which is how can we or all the listeners now increase our testosterone levels naturally, like without injections, using diet, using fitness, using different methods, supplements, and maybe you can give us your protocol of 3 to 5 points of what everyone can do, start doing pretty much tomorrow or right now.
All right. Well,
increase the level.
On the base level is the decent amount of sleep. So sleep your 8 hours of a night, no question. That's the first one. Second, reducing stress, and that can be a tough thing to do. There's something on that I find pretty interesting. Meditation might do something, and some supplements like reishi or ashwagandha. Ashwagandha has been very interested me a lot because it can reduce cortisol levels and stress, and it has also been shown to increase testosterone levels in some Indian studies. So there might be the relation that it lowers cortisol levels and stress and increases testosterone levels. So
pretty much by fixing one of the major factors attributed to low testosterone, you can increase your testosterone, which makes complete sense.
Yeah. And then there's taking a note of your own medical condition, like quantifying your mineral levels, and in many cases, if people have deficiencies in zinc or magnesium, if they start supplementing those, they can improve dramatically their testosterone levels. And then all the vitamins, fat-soluble vitamins, A, K, D, are pretty big. Tim Ferriss recommended those in his protocols for improving test. And
and what do you think of
team on that one
of Tomcat Ally, the one that John Gray is such a fan of?
Well, actually, I haven't studied that so much. It's just a mention on our book that study about it affecting testosterone isn't that strong, so we didn't dig into it that much.
How about these libido increasing supplements, bee pollen and so on? Have you tried them before? Do they work subjectively?
Well, I have had some crazy reports from people who have read my book or some my stuff. Like, for example, nettle root can stop testosterone from converting to estrogens. So one woman said me that her husband refused to take any more nettle root because it was making him so horny.
What is that called? The
nettle root, stinging nettle. The root of that stinging nettle, you have it in Germany, I know, as well, growing all over the place.
Nettle root.
The burning plant.
It's Brennnessel, I think.
Yeah.
All right. That's funny. Okay.
So that's one interesting one, and also maca seems to be pretty good. And there was a recent rodent study also that big amounts of maca might also increase testosterone. So that was pretty interesting because maca has said to have libido enhancing effects, but the studies haven't shown any testosterone benefits before. But now they had the rodents take bigger amounts of maca extract, so then their testosterone levels actually doubled. So that's pretty big.
Yeah, maca is one of the superfoods now that you find in
Yeah.
every organic store.
And
Okay.
I still mention one about the recent study as well. Cola nut. I don't know. It's not that common superfood, but cola nut like tripled the rodents' testosterone levels in a recent study. So,
Oh,
and
really?
yeah, and it has some um, compounds that affect positively on testosterone. I'm pretty sure.
And then what Ben Greenfield also mentioned, and I think you meant that before, is that when you're deficient in zinc and magnesium and you fix those levels and you supplement zinc and magnesium, but only when you're deficient, then you
Yeah,
also increase testosterone.
yeah. Well, I think that with normal diet, you can pretty easily be a little deficient with both of those. So even if you don't go to take any tests, I recommend that supplementing zinc on the mornings and magnesium in the nights, especially if you do sports. After sports, magnesium might be pretty good. So, and magnesium also might improve your sleep. So that's another way how it could improve your overall well-being and testosterone.
Ah, okay. All right. So now we have sleep, we have reducing stress with meditation or with reishi and ashwagandha. We have supplementation. How about diet? Does it work to increase your cholesterol intake and eat a higher fat diet? Does that also increase your testosterone?
Well, I I can't say about that because we of course we need cholesterol for producing testosterone. So yes, eating cholesterol is a key thing. And but should we overeat it or do I don't think that that's necessary to eat it very much because we don't need it that much for making those hormones. And well, if you're doing a lot of sports, I would say that don't go on to like low calorie diet if you want to optimize your testosterone. Stay on the plus calories or on the at least like normal range because if you're reducing your intake of carbohydrates and overall calories, it might decrease your testosterone. Bodybuilders, when they're dieting, their testosterone levels always like drop dramatically. So basically, like taking your carbs after your workout might be important factor as well.
Ah, okay. Yeah, I heard contradicting evidence there that it that there was a suggestion that carbohydrates might actually impact testosterone, and then there are other scientists who say it's pretty much just the caloric intake. So by reducing carbs, many people also reduce calories, and that's then the issue.
Yeah. Yeah.
So there are different opinions there.
Yeah. And on the Anabolic Men is a pretty good blog about testosterone. There were a collection of some studies about guys who were working out and eating moderate amounts of carbs or high amounts of carbs, and actually the high amount carb groups were having better testosterone levels. So, but that's just one study I've seen.
And interesting, yeah. I think there's still a lot to find out, and in the next over the next 10 years, we're gonna have a lot more new information about this subject and many other subjects in health and diet, and I think there's a lot we don't know yet. How about this one thing that I came across? I recently wrote an article about thermogenesis, cold therapy.
Yeah.
So taking cold showers, ice baths, cryotherapy. And I came across some evidence that it pretty much affects the area in the hypothalamus that is responsible for the release of gonadotropin releasing hormone, which is one of the first steps in the process of the production of testosterone. Have you found anything about that? Does taking cold showers help in producing testosterone?
Well, I've digged into that pretty much, and it seems to be that like cold might improve your semen functions or semen quality at some point. And with testosterone, there isn't any clear evidence of benefits, but it's a pretty interesting subject, and there has been like many crazy stories. For example, Soviet Union weightlifters were said to like have gold gonads, like freeze their testicles before they went to lift.
Really?
Just yeah, like to improve their testosterone levels. But I haven't seen any reasonable studies about the subject. I've been a fan of taking cold showers for many years, and there are health benefits with that. And actually
I'm also a huge fan.
Yeah, and there's one important or interesting thing that it seems to be that in the summer months there more babies are born, and it might be due to that. It's better conditions for your testicles in the winter when it's colder, and your semen quality is better in the winter, so women get more pregnant.
Okay, but that might also be because it's just cold and you need another person to warm yourself, and that ends up in, sexual encounters. Wanted or unwanted, I don't know. And then more children come out of that. Who knows? But interesting fact.
Yeah.
Okay. And there was one more thing I wanted to ask you. Because you said the quality of semen, but what is quality? Is it the quantity, or is it actually the I don't know, the capabilities of the semen to swim? Or when you said
sorry,
quality.
repeat. There was a little
okay.
break.
Well, you mentioned that cold could improve the quality of semen.
Yeah.
What does that mean, quality? Is it the number, the quantity, or is it actually the capabilities, the swimming capabilities of the little swimmers?
They studied the motility, like how well they swim and move, and also the quantity, how many are there. So they're like cold can affect those things, and like many testosterone supplements actually might improve your semen qualities, but not always testosterone. So it's easier actually to find decent supplements for improving your semen quality than testosterone.
All right. Okay, this is interesting stuff. This subject is just never boring, I think. Okay, I'm through pretty much with my list now. I think we had a really good episode, an introduction into the workings of testosterone and how people can improve and increase it naturally. And I'm sure that people will have questions. How can they reach you, Pessi, when people have questions?
Info at pessipeura.com.
Or do you have social media? Are you on Twitter? Are you on...
Yeah, you can find me on Facebook, Pessi Peura, Twitter as well, Pessi Peura. So these are your channels.
Okay. Thank you so much for being on the show, and I'm sure I'll reach out to you with more questions in the future. And this was a very interesting talk, and I'll hope to maybe have you on the show again at some point. So thanks, Pessi, and I'll talk to you soon.
Thank you, Maximilian. It was nice to chat with you, and I hope my recommendations, tips might help some of the listeners.
Yeah, translate the book.
Okay. Yeah, I'll do that.
And we're off. This is the end of this episode of the Flow Grade Show, but don't worry, the next one is already in the works. Thank you very much for listening, and if you like what we do here, then please subscribe to this podcast and share with us which guest you would like to see here. So we would be more than happy to pursue whoever you think would fit. And thank you for now. I see you next time.